Hello and welcome again to KSA Tax Expert. My name is Imran Ahmed. Today we are going to have discussion about Tax and Zakat return review process by Saudi Tax and Zakat Authority. I will try to cover today the Tax and Zakat return review process by ZATCA, the details and documents requested by them, their initial assessment of Tax and Zakat, and Tax and Zakat final assessment.
After we submit tax and zakat return, the Saudi Tax and Zakat Authority initiate their review process to complete tax zakat assessment for the year. The tax authority or ZATCA normally they require audited financial statements for their review together with the tax return. If the audited financial statements was not submitted together with the return for the year, the Tax and Zakat Authority requests further information, documents, and details, whatever they feel necessary to complete their review of the tax return. During the review process, the ZATCA or the tax authorities or Zakat authorities, they compares the amount of sales, purchases, and the expenses reported in the tax return with the data available with them, such as they try to reconcile the amount of sales reported in your tax return or zakat return with the one which is reported as part of your VAT return. They reconcile the amount of imports or the foreign purchase recorded to the customs authorities record and the amount of foreign purchase reported in the tax return. They try to reconcile the amount of salaries and wages reported to GOSI system as part of the GOSI return and the amount which is reported in WPS with the amount of salaries and wages or employees cost which is reported in your tax return. The tax authority or ZATCA or Zakat authority, they also try to reconcile the amounts which are reported as paid to local tax registered entities with the amount reported by them in as part of their tax and zakat return. Now, the ZATCA normally requires following documents, details, and analysis to complete their review of tax and zakat return. This is just an indicative list. This is not exhaustive. So the ZATCA requires the trial balance reconciled with the financial statements and the tax and VAT returns. The ZATCA requires the analysis of revenue together with reconciliation with the VAT returns. With respect to foreign purchase, they require a reconciliation between the amounts reported as foreign purchase in your tax return and the amounts which are reported in the customs authority record when you do import during the tax year. They also require analysis of local purchase, the subcontractor cost, or other major expenses item together with the supporting documents. With respect to salaries and wages, as I told before, they require a reconciliation between the amounts reported as part of your GOSI return and the amounts reported as per the tax return. The tax authority also require that whatever salaries and wages you reported in your tax return, a grouping for those and reconciliation for those with the amounts as per trial balance. The tax authority, with respect to sundry other expenses or miscellaneous expenses or other expenses reported in financial statements or in your tax and zakat return, they require a detailed analysis with copies of the supporting documents to accept as ordinary and necessary business expenses. With respect to amounts paid or expenses relating to non-residents, because amounts paid to non-residents from a Saudi source is subject to withholding tax in Saudi Arabia, So what they do, normally they try to reconcile the amounts reported in the withholding tax return as paid to non-residents together with the amounts which we have reported in your tax and zakat return as relating to non-residents. With respect to related party transaction, the tax authorities normally requires the supporting documents to prove that the transaction between the affiliated parties or related parties are on arm's length basis. Now, after we submit all the details and documents and information requested by Zatka, they draft an assessment. That initial assessment is sent to the tax and zakat payer for their review and comments. The Zatka normally provides 3 to 5 days to the tax or zakat payers to provide their comments on the initial assessment shared by them to the tax and zakat payers. The tax and zakat payers, they review the draft or initial assessment and provide their comments and response to Zatka's treatments. What I have seen in practice, that normally if you disagree with any treatment of Zatka in their initial assessment or the draft assessment, and we respond, you provide together with the supporting documents or the further details. Okay, and if the Zatka is satisfied, normally they change their treatment while raising the final assessment. So once you submit a response to the Zatka with respect to the initial assessment, they review and they issue a final assessment. Now, the final tax and zakat assessment. The Zatka issues final assessment for tax and zakat for the year using the IRAD system. The assessment is communicated to the tax or zakat payer by an email or an SMS. Email is sent to the registered email on the IRAD system and also followed by an SMS to the tax or zakat payer providing the amount of liability and a Sadad number. Keep in mind that the email address which is registered with the tax authority in the IRAD system or the mobile number which is registered with the tax authority in the IRAD system, that need to be reviewed and checked on regular interval to avoid any risk of missing the deadline to file an appeal against unfavorable assessment, because you have 60 days time to file an appeal against the Zatka's assessment if you disagree with their treatment. Now, if you decided to go for an appeal could be filed on certain items or certain treatments, and you may agree or you may accept the treatment of certain other items in the final assessment of Zatka. So with respect to the undisputed liabilities, it means those treatments which are not contested by the taxpayer through appeal, you need to settle those liabilities before filing the appeal in the IRAD system, because the IRAD system will not move forward. It will not accept the appeal unless and until undisputed liabilities are settled by the taxpayer or zakat payer. The appeal for the year against the final assessment is submitted through IRAD. Keep in mind that if the appeal is not filed within the statutory deadline of 60 days from the receiving of final assessment, the liability will become due and payable. This concludes my discussion for today. If you have any doubt or queries or questions, please feel free to connect me on my mobile. You can write me an email to my email address. You can connect me through LinkedIn, or you can provide your comments on the comment box. I will come back to you.